I got loyalty, got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I was born like this, it's born like this. Immaculate conception, I transform like this, perform like this. Without you, a new weapon, I don't contemplate. I meditate, then perfect. This that people against the bed. This that I got loyalty inside my DNA.
Welcome everyone to the streets of Toronto, Canada's racing capital and home of the Argonauts and Toronto FC. Exhibition Place has long tested the brave. Its bumps, its walls and its lightning-fast Lakeshore Boulevard straight leave no room for error. Earlier this year, IndyCar's Pato Award triumphed here, but now the ISR AIC takes centre stage for 16 laps of raw intensity. And with just 2 rounds to go, every point counts. Kristian Vrazhilov leads the charge in the championship, but the pack is hungry, the walls are waiting, and Toronto has the way of reshaping title fights in the blink of an eye. Joining me alongside today is Josh Martin. Welcome along, Josh, to Toronto.
Thank you, Toby. Excited to be here. A circuit that is renowned for being bumpy, and we certainly had a few bumps in the championship, so excited to see how it goes today.
Fantastic. So I'll hand it back to you, Josh, to take us through this fantastic circuit.
Yes, so here we are. Welcome to the Great North. We're here at Exhibition Place in Toronto, played home to IndyCar since 1986. A circuit that is considered by many to be the Monaco of North America. It's a circuit which features high-speed straights and plenty of tight and twisty corners. Cars can be reaching just over 180 miles an hour, provided you can find yourself a bit of clean air. And those of you who are local to the circuit will know that traffic is a problem both on and off the racetrack. It's a circuit that drivers will love, really pushing them to their limits, and I'm sure we're going to see some great racing as they try to deliver here. The circuit has skipped over the past few years due to various factors kind of coming into play. However, it is a renowned favourite for both fan and driver alike. In 2026, the circuit will be moving onwards after we move away from Exhibition Place, but that means that there's plenty of time for one more show to go down.
Fantastic, and what an event for us to round out Exhibitions Place, not just on the IndyCar calendar, but likely in the ISR AIC too. It is a fantastic circuit and one which is really going to pronounce a unique challenge to really show us who is worthy of this championship. Now, Toby Byrne lines up P22 and Ed Cantwell will be next to him in 21, disappointing qualifying for them. And then it's an all-nemesis racing team of 2019. They had a good result in their home race last time out, not so much this time. Gareth Lennon took second in the championship last time out. P17 will be disappointing on the back of that. Philip Blum then lines up P16, he's alongside Joshua Wood in P15. Craig Evans will line up P14 for an all-Scottish row alongside Colin McAllister for CGM. Then it's Jonathan Carrera lining up in P12, he will line up alongside another championship contender of Olav Odvern, and then Andrew Pavia in P10 alongside Josh Martin for Simstaff. Moving on to the next row championship contender again, Jack Tolchar will line up P8, he's alongside race 1 winner Tom McDonnell. Douglas Anderson, reigning champion, lands up P6 for his attempt at a title defence. He's alongside Marcus Townend. Kristian Vrazhilov, championship leader, scores a P4, another fantastic result. And Cam Spencer scores his first top 3 in a long time. Craig McDonald, though, takes his first ever ISR AIC pole position, and he's alongside Zach Swader, who was also on the front row this time last week. Now, he will be hoping for better fortunes because he was unable to convert in Magyar. Can he do it on the streets of Toronto? Can Craig McDonald hold on to his first ever pole position? It's all yet to be told as we go to lights out here in the streets of Toronto, and it looks like a fantastic start from both the front 2 runners. Who's going to have the edge going into turn 1? And Zach Swader's cleared McDonald immediately. Swader's straight up into the lead. Fantastic start by the American at the North American circuit of Streets of Toronto. Callum Spencer's held on to P3 despite being under a little bit of pressure from Kristian Vrazhilov, who is now coming back at him down the boulevard straight, side by side action. There's a little right kink in here, very similar to that of Adelaide, and we'll head into the hairpin next. Will Kristian Vrazhilov get this move done on the Welshman up the inside? Championship leader looking for these points, looking to seal the deal in this championship, but no, held off by the experience of Callum Spencer on this first lap, Josh.
Yeah, it's all underway, and a little bit of a dodgy start there, I think, for our pole sitter. The nerves getting to him a little bit, as we can see that there's plenty of action going on around the field. Impressive for Vrazhilov, though. He's a man on a mission, and he knows he needs to get up the field if he wants to secure some extra points and really win that championship. Obviously, his teammate in tow just a couple of positions behind, and similar pattern there for tow driver Martin as well. So plenty of drivers going to be working as a team for this one. You're going to have to, with how tight and twisty a circuit it is, and we may even see some team orders come into play later on as we see a few lockups. The tires still getting up to temperature, and yeah, definitely plenty going on here with this bumpy surface. The track is so difficult to get a nice clean line. As you see McDonald now sitting nicely into the slipstream, having a look towards the hairpin. I don't think he's going to have a look into this corner, but a very good start for the Northern Lights racing team, and I'm sure they're going to be happy overall.
Fantastic stuff from Zach Swader so far, and this is really the performance that Northern Lights were hoping for when they signed Swader in replacement of James Underhill from season number 5. So Zach Swader is leading the way. We saw him breaking the toe down the start-finish straight, which is a very interesting thing. It's not that much of a long straight, so the fact he feels the need to break the toe so early on shows how vital track position here. Tom McDonald looking to go up the inside of Douglas Anderson. This is a battle for championship position because these two are relatively close in the championship, but no, Douglas Anderson has held out on this occasion and keeps this on a very merry day for the ART boys. One in P4, one in P6. Of course, these are the championship leaders in the constructors standings too, so a very good afternoon looking like it's going to be for ART so far. So track position, obviously we talked about in your pre-race description of the track. Many people refer to this as the Monaco of North America, and track position proving very vital, and that's going to be interesting in the pit strategy today, Josh, because obviously there is no mandatory pit stop in the ISR AIC, but more often than not we do see a pit stop just because of the time difference. But on a circuit like this, where track position is so vital, could we see a potential couple of teams, you know, that don't really have much to lose in the lower end of the points? Could they be looking toward a zero-stop strategy, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's all to play for here. We can see that McDonald, Prevere and Evans, for example, all running on the medium tyres, and you know, if you're going to go for an undercut round here and make the pit stop, it is going to be very powerful. But if you can make those tyres stretch, then they will last. I was just watching coming out of turns 2 and 3 there, and McDonald and Spencer were a little bit loose on the rear end. As we've seen throughout the season, the cars can be quite difficult to kind of control that rear end with the torque, and obviously that's going to come into play. So it's all about controlling that pace and controlling the tyres. Obviously, if you do go for an overtake, you can be scrubbing some rubber off there, and that may come into a detriment for you later on in the race. So I expect for the first few laps at least that we're just going to see Zach and McDonald here just kind of control the pace, control the rhythm, get the tyres come into temperature, but of course any mistake you do make and you're going to get punished heavily for it as well. So it might not just be the guy that's trying to overtake you, there could be 2 or 3 cars lying in wait behind as well. As we see Callum Spencer just tucking in nicely there, the gap staying roughly just under half a second, and he certainly seems to have found his rhythm here as well. So as we start to cross into the next lap, you can see actually Spencer picked up the fastest lap, that slipstream coming into play, but they're going to have to control those temperatures, Toby, if they want to make sure the tyres make it to the end of the race.
Absolutely. So on a, like you say, it's such a bumpy circuit, and it almost feels like the walls are closing in on you. I think it was Jackie Stewart who described Monaco as a circuit where it feels like riding a bicycle around your living room, and this is very much of the same nature. As we can see, Callum Spencer really closing in on the top 2, and these 3 running line astern, and then Vrazhilov's not. Oh, McDonald's gone a little bit wide there. Is that going to put him under some pressure from Callum Spencer? He looks to the outside, but the door is quickly shut. A mistake quickly picked up there by McDonald, but that has brought Vrazhilov and Townend into this battle pack as well. So despite this being such a tight and narrow circuit, these guys are sticking to each other like glue. They're dealing with the dirty air really well now. Of course, there won't be as much dirty air as the like of a Formula 1 car, but we can see we've had some signing news this week from several teams confirming their driver lineups for next season, Josh, and a lot of teams looking like stability might be the best course of action. Now, of course, in the ISR AIC, the cars change every season, so it's not a matter of sticking with the same team just because there's new regs, because that's the same thing every season, but a lot of teams looking to stay with what they know. And if you're someone like, you can see Swader there re-signed, this is looking very good for Northern Lights Racing in terms of making the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Swader obviously a bit of a roll of dice as Underhill moves out of that stable there, and I'm sure Northern Lights will be happy with that. Evan's obviously been there since season one of the team's inception, really, so very much the talisman there. But great to see so many teams committing early. We see Spencer and Carrero re-signed as well, and Violin and McAllister as well. So great to see so many returning drivers, and of course they'll start to get a feel of how each other race as well, which ultimately means that they're going to be able to capitalize on each other's strengths and weaknesses. I'm just looking in the timing though, Toby, and Anderson's dropped a little bit back now. The gap just over a second, and maybe trying to back up the field to give his teammate there to just a chance to be able to stretch his legs and not worry too much. Obviously ART looking for a recurring title win if they can do that as a constructor, but I think if you're Anderson, obviously a little bit bittersweet having your teammate up front and not being able to make a move as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of the ARTs really struggled in the opening rounds of this championship. It wasn't actually until round 4 in the Lauschwitz Ring, Germany, that this team really found their form, and we thought it was a fluke in terms of a lot of teams were running a compromised setup that weekend, and we thought maybe the ART just ran really well on a compromised setup compared to the others. However, since then, they've just gone from strength to strength, so it looks like it's taken them a couple of rounds to figure out this car, and much like they did in Season 5, once they've figured out this car, they've really been able to pull it off, and they've really been a good team of engineers and etc. who are making that car work for them. But as we look further down the grid, we see Ed Cantwell is close to the rear of Christopher Pettersson. Now this is a couple of teams which are on the opposite end of ART in terms of their struggles this season. Team Disconnect started well and have fallen off, and Nemesis Racing never really got going as the cameraman is having a bit of a drama there. But we can see lap number 6, everything's still line of sun. Of course, this is the Monaco of North America, so it's very much about how you can stick to your opponent, how you can put yourself in that position should you be in a position to make that undercut on the tyre strategy later on. We see Vrazhilov is applying quite a lot of pressure to Callum Spencer at the moment, who's fallen off dramatically from the top 2. So Callum Spencer looking like he's really struggling now. Massive lock-up from Kristian Vrazhilov, the championship leader, making quite a rare mistake there, and I wonder if that's going to give him a pair of flat spots on the front tyres. But Callum Spencer's obviously fallen off from the top 2 as well. But the person who'll be benefiting the most from this is Zach Swader, because he has clean air, there's no one in front of him, and he can just manage the pace, he can manage his tyres how he feels. Tom McDonald getting a good run on the back of Anderson now as well, and now we're approaching half race distance. If we're going to be expecting some pit stops, we'll expect them in the near future, but it's very evident, Josh, that a lot of these drivers are beginning to face trouble with their tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking there as you were speaking, Tolchard having another lockup, and like we said, not only are you going to get those vibrations on the tyre, but the overall grip's going to be reduced as well. So plenty of action about to come its way, and like you say, Swader's doing everything right at this stage. He's just controlling the pace and taking his time. If the team are going to look to pit for him, though, they need to be careful, because if you want to get stuck in a battle, as we see Oliver Odfin having another look at Tolchard, this could have quite an impact on your race. And as we've seen, we're nearly 7 laps, and nobody's really been able to make any movers or shakers. So yeah, you got to be careful when it comes to the pit strategy here and see what you can do. Spencer definitely dropping off there, so starting to feel the pressure. But he might be someone who wants to roll the dice here, see what you can make happen. As we see Philip Bloom there just tucking in nicely, and not a lot of movement happening on the field at the moment, but all it takes is one mistake, and like we said, you can have 2 or 3 cars fighting for position.
On a track like this, and especially on a race like this where the grid is so tightly compact, all it takes is one mistake like that. Tom McDonald going extremely wide there. He's put him under a little bit of pressure as he gets tucked up behind Douglas Anderson. As we come through the final corner, this is a very large scrap of cars coming down the start-finish straight, and it looks like Douglas may have made a mistake, because he's now 2.7 behind Marcus Townend, dropping a further second, and that's really bunched the field up behind him. But just to go back to my earlier point, on a race like this, where everything is so tightly compact, one virtual safety car and one well-timed pit stop during that virtual safety car can move you up 4 or 5 positions in this, it can get you past this entire battle pack. So it'll be very interesting to see. We can see Tom McDonald is closing up to the rear of Douglas Anderson. Is there going to be anything moving into here? And no, there's not at this time, so doesn't believe it is worth it to go for the move, and it's very tricky because, like you say, there's no gravel traps here, there's no runoffs here. If you make a mistake, you're heading to the wall, and if you head to that wall, there's a very good chance you're going to ruin your front wing, you're going to ruin your suspension, and you are in a position where if you have to pit for repairs, your race is certainly over. So there is maybe an air of caution going around this street of Toronto circuit. Callum Spencer is actually really closing in on Craig McDonald now, who looks to be struggling just a little bit more. And we said Zach Swader was able to manage this at his own pace, manage his tyres, but of course McDonald is stuck with two decisions of trying to keep up with Sweden to not give him that breathing room or put himself in a position where he's in that dirty air and he is losing front grip on those tyres. But nevertheless, it is causing him to come under a threat a little bit from Callum Spencer behind, the man who's had a really torrid season by his standards, Josh, and he'll be really happy to be just fighting for the podium at this stage.
Absolutely, I think we kind of wrote him off earlier. I thought he was maybe struggling with pace, but it looks like actually he was just kind of saving the tyres and building up a bit of stamina in them, because he's now pulled in that gap. Obviously, he's dropped Vrazhilov behind him as well. And I'm just looking further down the field. So a lot of people that we said started on those medium tyres are really going to be struggling now, as we see McDonald have another lock up there. I think the medium tyres are really going to be struggling at this point. I can just see, if we look at Evans, Kerr and Lennon, they're obviously in a bit of a hard tyre sandwich. So the roll of the dice is probably on its way and not very far off in terms of laps. But like you say, safety car could change all of that. So you see Marcus Townsend, he is looking pretty nicely on the back of Vrazhilov as well now. So really it's a question of how do you balance that tyre pressure. Obviously the surface here is so abrasive. We see a little brush with the wall there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but that certainly looked like there was a bit of contact with the wall there. And all this can have an impact as well, because if you lose a tenth or two over a lap, that's a huge impact. As we see, Tom McDonald has gone wide, and again, a uncharacteristic mistake, and this is going to check everybody up now, Toby. It's all kicking off.
We have a virtual safety car being called, and that's Douglas Anderson going very slowly. And is that his steering completely out of shape? He's out of the race. And yeah, very understandable reaction from the reigning champion. Has he made a mistake? It looked like his steering was completely bent and it was just gone. And that's the mistake we're talking about. We didn't really even see the moment, it was that small. Let's take a look on board with Douglas Anderson, and that's the first... No, it's not. Did he just avoid it? I'm not quite sure. That might have been the first brush of the wall we saw. But coming into this final sector, Josh, what happens here?
Yeah, he just understeers, pushing the front end, he clips the wall there on that inside, and then he's going to go further wide and just, the steering column's completely gone. You look at that steering wheel, it is not going the right direction, and just so unlucky. He looked like he was really struggling for grip through that last sector, and obviously checks everybody up behind him as well, so it impacts not only his race, but everybody else's. We see him there, he does get away with that left-hand touch, we don't see it, so that's, he's got lucky there, but the front end is just all over the place. You can see, I think he's got someone actually on his inside, rushes out wide onto those dirty marbles, clips the wall on the right, and then he's very much just a passenger for that next corner. So yes, very frustrating for his title hopes, and not the result he would have wanted today.
That could be lights, camera, thank you, good night for ART's hopes of a defending drivers world champion. They obviously still could have Kristian Vrazhilov tail, and look at the speed. He had no chance of slowing down there, and bang! You can see that front right is gone, immediately pointing in the opposite direction to all the other tyres. So huge accident for Douglas Anderson, and that could be, like you say, the end of his reigning title defence. Kristian Vrazhilov will be the man flying solo for ART DHL the rest of the afternoon, but again, that could be quite detrimental, and that will help out other teams such as Team RN in terms of their title hopes in the constructors' standings, because obviously ART have had quite a soft little buffer, and Beechwood Team RN only have a single car in the points at the moment. We have an all kind of scrap going on here, by the way. There's a big checkup going on, and that's actually seeing Reinhard Ecker get under a little bit of pressure there from Joshua Wood, who's going side by side. Is he able to pull off the move? No, he's not, and that's left him under some pressure now from the NAR behind, but nothing doing on this occasion as everyone gets back into order and gets back into this straight line, because going side by side is fantastic. It's how you make moves, but it's also considerably slower than following the racing line, so everyone just sorting themselves out there. But yeah, just to go back to my earlier point, Beechwood Team RN only have a single car in the top 10, and ART DHL did have two. They now only have one as well, so this helps out other people in the Teams Championship as well, but nevertheless very disappointing for the ART DHL. As Zach Swade, Josh Stubb, Plan A is still the fastest. Now, what do we reckon Plan A is? Do we reckon that is a one stop? Is it a zero pop? Zach Swade is saying it's a tough ask, it'll be touch and go, so that tells me it's either going to be a late call or maybe he's trying to go to the end.
Yeah, I certainly get the impression he's maybe looking to go to the end there, because, when he's got a nice healthy gap like that, as long as he can keep the tyres and not have the same fate that we just saw from Anderson, then he does have some potential. As we see there, the two Simstaff cars running nose to tail, and potentially just trying to give Tolchard a little bit of a move on. He's obviously still potentially got a championship that he can fight for, and every move will matter at this stage. So yeah, very interesting to see what's happening. As we see, Spencer has got the fastest lap at the moment as well, so he's certainly not holding up on pace. race, and I'll be interested to see if he can make any moves further up as we see the two Simstaff cars going side by side, and it looks like they've checked back into position there. So yeah, plenty going on. Obviously we know this last sector with its bumps can be the one that throws up an issue, and any touches with the wall here can have a real impact depending on which wall you hit and how hard you hit it.
Absolutely. So we come to the scene of the accident from Douglas Anderson. Jack Tolchard getting all kinds of sideways through multiple corners. Oh, and he's in the wall. Jack Tolchard really struggling to hold on to the V8 beast on these worn tyres, and that's put him under a little bit of pressure from his teammate, who seems to be doing a little bit of a defensive job to prevent those behind capitalising on him. But look at how much sideways action Tolchard is getting, and now Martin as well. We are 12 laps in to the Streets of Toronto Grand Prix, and these tyres are crying for mercy, but nobody wants to sacrifice this track position, and it's really giving these guys a completely different car to drive. Jack Tolchard did brush up with the wall. I'm not sure if he's gotten away with it, but I think he has, because he's continued going at this time, but he's really on the absolute limit of grip, and we're in a really dangerous point now where we could see mistakes being made as we have more side-by-side action. This is Josh Wood again trying to go around the outside of Reinhard Ecker, and he has managed to pull off the position this time. So upper position goes Josh Wood. We have Christopher Pettersson making a move on Ed Cantwell, them two doing spattle side by side still in the background there, and I think Ed Cantwell has held on for the time being, but these guys are driving astronomically slow in a hope of not having to make that additional pit stop. There's 4 laps to go. If anyone makes a pit stop now, they're going to have a huge tyre deficit, Josh. But at the same time as Jack Tolchard, is that into the wall? Has he gotten away with that? That was a big impact. That looked very similar to Anderson. He is still going, but it's checked him up massively to Josh Martin, and Colin McAllister's getting involved in the conversation now. He's looking to the inside. Josh Martin covers the inside as we go into turn number 1. Everyone going line of stern. Colin McAllister looking to try go up the inside for the final point on offer this afternoon. He takes the position, but is he going to hold on to it? No, Martin has the racing line and will resume that P10, and McAllister has to fall behind, and everything's kicking off because these drivers have no grip, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the debris coming off there as some of them are glancing against the wall. It's all kicking off, and Tolchard obviously carrying damage now, so that gap to the cars ahead obviously is now 3.1. It's even further, and Jack's off into the wall. We see him into the wall big time there. He has entirely missed the corner. That's backing up a few of the cars there, and not the result for him, as we see a virtual safety car has been thrown, and not a great result there for Jack Tolchard. We obviously saw that he was nursing damage over the past few laps. That combined with these V8s, combined with the tyres, and he's apologetic, but yeah, not a great result for the two teammates who are running their nose to tail, and that's some valuable potential points that have been lost as well. So not a great result. As we see, McDonald is into the pits as well, and looking to come out once the VSC is ending, but yeah, not a great decision there for Tolchard to put it into the wall, Toby.
Green flag.
That could be Jack Tolchard. There's 2 rounds to go. That could be Jack Tolchard's hopes of a championship gone. Could we see the Streets of Toronto ending some championship hopes here this afternoon? Craig McDonald, you mentioned, pitted under the virtual safety car. Now, obviously, he's maybe seen how many people are going off, and he's maybe been on that limit himself. But what an absolute tyre deficit McDonald's going to have. Keep an eye on him, because he's on he's on brand new softs, and everyone's on 14-lap-old hard and medium. So keep an eye on McDonald. Yes, track position is very difficult to gain here, but he should have a huge grip advantage as he'll come up on the behind of Odvan and Pavia ahead. But Zach Swader is the man making no mistakes at the moment. We'll go for some repos for some mistakes, and this is how a championship could have been ended, Josh, in the blink of an eye, and it all feels very reminiscent of Douglas Anderson.
Yeah, exactly that. Just clips that right-hand side and then just can't get round that corner on the right-hander there. So the car goes into the wall, and he keeps it going for some time. He's really trying to keep it going, much to the steward's dislike, I think. But look at that. He's holding the wheel basically at 90 degrees, which is not a great look. And obviously his teammate behind him trying to get past, probably quite frustrated there. Obviously, there's one thing to have a collision, but then to have your teammate try and keep it going as he just flies across the front of him. It's not safe for anybody. It's a very dangerous, and this is like Monaco, like you say, Toby. It's the one where you have to be careful. Those walls will close in, and any lapse of judgment is going to have an impact. And you can see Tolchard was actually going defensive, still going, so he obviously had the confidence that he could achieve it. But yeah, just not a great result there. And I'm interested to see now, a lot of drivers have pitted onto the soft tyres. It's one thing to have the extra grip, but you're going to have the confidence to send it, but also to have that driver on your inside or outside not come into you. As we see, Jack just runs out of turning luck and straight into the wall there. So an end to his race and an expensive night for the team.
An expensive night for the team, and perhaps the title aspirations of a rookie championship down the drain with them, as we see. And yeah, like you say, that's just a shot in itself. It is just pulling up alongside the Acura badge. There is nothing more he could do. He tried valiantly to keep it going. I think he really understood the consequences of what had happened and how, like you say, with 2 rounds to go after this, how much that could take him out of the championship. And he really tried to keep it going, and maybe that's why he was so apologetic, was he tried, maybe, I don't know if he was trying to get it back to at least keep running, or if he was just trying to make it those last 2 laps by driving at a 90-degree angle. But regardless, he ran out of turning lock and he is out, and could that be his championship down the line as well? So Craig McDonald, like we say, has a huge tyre advantage, and you can see this is the problem we was talking about with pitting on this circuit, Josh. He has such a tyre life advantage, but there's just no way to get through. He's looking to the left, he's looking to the right. It's very reminiscent of Mansell versus Senna at Monaco. There's no way past. Andrew Pavia is his first challenge, and he just needs to get to a position where he can at least be in the talking point, and then he can just completely blast past him with that additional traction, and this should be a good opportunity. We can already see, look, he's trying to go side by side onto the Boulevard Straight, but again the door is closed and he has to back off, and the benefit of those tyres is negated. As we can see, Townend is really putting some late pressure on Kristian Vrazhilov. Keep an eye on that one, as Craig McDonald now looking to get the move done. And is he finally going to go up the inside? Are we finally going to see an overtake? It's a big front right lockup, but he does look like he gets the move on Andrew Pavia side by side out of the corner. He just needs to out-drag him around the outside. Will he get the move done? Oh, huge double lockup from Andrew Pavia as he desperately tries to hold on to that track position, and nothing doing. Craig McDonald makes the move up into P7, but I'm beginning to wonder, Josh, he did this from was he P2? I'm beginning to wonder, was that a mistake?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the right direction he's going, but that was an excellent overtake there, and credit to Pavia trying to keep it going. You could see he was pulling everything out. Those tires, we see a spin in the background there, and that is not a good turnaround there for Pavia. Obviously run out of grip on those tires, the heat that's going through them, and then it just becomes like glue. So a virtual safety car, which I think, Toby, might even carry us through to the end of the race here.
Yeah, I think we're heading on to potentially a 1-lap dash under this safety car. I think Sueda has just started the last lap, so we'll see how long this virtual safety car goes on for. We can see an in-race replay here of what's happened to Pavia after that. And like you said, did he just run out of rear-end grip as he suffered a rear puncture? We're coming into the corner of the scene of the accident, and he's downshifting, and upon downshifting, whoa, round we go. And that was either a rear lock or it was a puncture, because it was very sudden. But yeah, that is why maybe the likes of McDonald was more inclined to go for this pit stop, so he could do things like this, looking to the inside of Olav Odven for another move. Could Craig McDonald go up the inside and repeat that move that he just pulled off? And he does. He doesn't even give Olav the chance to respond. Completely closes him off. Max Verstappen-esque, but Olav responds anyway. Side by side, he'll have to pull off the exact same move as he did on Andrew Pavia. He goes very wide, and I'm not sure if he made contact there, but if he did, and he got very lucky because he went very deep. But another position game for McDonald, and he certainly has the grip. But the man who had it all under control today was Zach Sueda. The man has not won an ISR AIC event for a considerable amount of time. He returns to the top step of the podium, and Zach Sueda in Toronto takes the win, his first win for Northern Lights Racing. Northern Lights Race first race win of the season, and they're back in form. Callum Spencer will return to the podium for the first time, and Kristian Vrazhilov is doing everything right to win this championship. He will finish P number 3, but I can see, is that a McDonald dropping down the order? I'm not sure if that's Craig McDonald or Tom McDonald, but there is a McDonald on soft tyres in the pits, and is that Craig McDonald? What has happened to Craig McDonald at the end of the race?
Oh, he was pushing so hard. We saw that contact, so you called it that we think he had contact there, and it's punished him. So I roll up the dice that has not worked out where. I think we're going to see it on the replay. So you can see here, obviously, we were just coming out of the yellow, so he's getting ready to take the opportunistic overtake. Has a quick look to the outside, then up to the inside, very late on the brakes, which we obviously saw him do the lap before. Commanding touch at the apex there, which is great, covers him off. And then as they come round, this is where we thought we saw that contact. So we saw a little tap on the right-hand side there, definitely. And then here as well, we thought that he also had further contact, and he has a massive swipe of the wall, and you can see the steering column's gone there already. So all that effort, all that gamble, and it has not played off. He's obviously still got the drivers behind him, and he's pulled over to the sides to let them through, it looks like, which is a great response. But yeah, an absolute waste of a race, you could say, for the McDonald, whereas Northern Light Racing, absolutely incredible. And Evans also deserves a shout out. He carried those medium tyres all the way through the race and has finished in the points as well. So a very good result for Northern Lights Racing today.
Ooh, Josh Martin wasn't taking any chances there, just squeezing one last move on Craig McDonald. But yeah, a very disappointing first pole position for Craig McDonald. And we look at the podium then for Zach Swader taking his first victory for Northern Lights Racing. Callum Spencer comes home for his first podium, and Kristian Vrazhilov will do everything he needed to do for a round number 8 day out to take the championship lead further. So Zach Swader does obviously take the first victory of Northern Lights Racing and the first victory for the Northern Lights Racing in season number 6. Callum Spencer second, Vrazhilov third. Marcus Townend does a good job to come home in P4, and Tom McDonald wasn't the McDonald brother we was expecting to see in the top 5 today. He finishes P5. Earl of Odburn will then line up P6 behind him. Josh Martin lines up P7. What could have been for Simstaff today, again, a very costly mistake in the championship for Jack Tolchard. Colin McAllister scores his first points in a considerable amount of time. He'll be very happy with that. And Craig Evans, like you say, does sneak up into P number 9. He'll be very happy to finish in that position with his teammate scoring a win as well. And then it's Jonathan Carrera taking the last point on offer today, just ahead of Gareth Lennon. Gareth Lennon, P number 2 in the championship, doesn't score today. That's another driver who didn't make a mistake per se, Josh, but didn't do a good enough performance to stay in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Masifa Blum there, finishing 12th, 13th, go to Pedersen. Joshua Wood takes the fastest lap, obviously no points there, being in P14. Craig McDonald, obviously, as we said, had a bit of a disastrous turn. Toby Byrne then leads Previer, Jacobs and Tolchard, who starts our retirements with Ecker and then Catwell and Anderson. So a few victims taken from Canada today, Toby, and like we say, it was the final time for Exhibition Place to be on the calendar, and it has certainly put on quite the show.
It was certainly what we refer to in the business as a slow burner, but it was a very much, it looks a lot more simple from our perspective than I imagine it was for the drivers. Obviously, it was all about managing your tyres, all about debating whether a pit stop or a zero stop was the optimum strategy, and it really came to a head at the end there. But Kristian Vrazhilov will head into round number 9, 2 rounds to go, with a 70 point total. He's 5 points ahead of Zach Swader, who that win today has really propelled him into the conversation late in the season. Marcus Townend will be the next driver behind, just 9 points behind him, and then there's only a single point between him and Odburn, then a single point between him and Lennon. So the battle for third place still very much intact. And to be honest, I don't really think we can just call this a 2-horse race. Obviously the two at the front, Josh, are the favourites, but the grid is so tight, and we've seen Swader was nowhere, and a single victory puts him right in contention.
Yeah, I'm just looking there. We've got potentially 5 people who could still win this title, Toby, so plenty to be going on. And of course, yeah, like you say, any mistakes that you make now at this end of the season not only impact the driver standings, but also the team standings as well, which we know are very, very tight as it goes. Jack Tolchard obviously being a great example of just how one mistake can really cost you a clean run at the championship. So it'll certainly be interesting to see what can come of this. The drivers obviously know what to expect of each other, and it should be interesting all the way through.
Yeah, as we look onto the second page of the standings, Jonathan Carrera leads that just by 1 point ahead of Reinhard Ecker. Quite a difficult conversation for Reinhard Ecker and Andrew Pavia. They've taken one standout victory, but as you say, the inconsistencies throughout the rest of the season have left them completely out of the title conversation. But Callum Spencer really propels himself from P20 in the championship after round 7 to that spot there, right in the conversation for the midfield battle. And they'll be really happy for that and JSR, because they'll finally have both drivers contributing heavily to the points. Craig Evans did what he needed to do today. He scored some points and again helps Northern Lights Racing in the team. He's not in the championship per se himself, but he is helping out his team. Philip Blum again had that victory last time out. That remains his only point scoring of the season. And then Christopher Pettersson and Colin McAllister round off the end of the grid. They are on tied points for the least wanted award of this season, and that is last place. So they will be looking to go head to head and score some final points in the final 2 rounds. And next time out, Josh, we do go to the Charlotte Roval, and we have seen this track produces some crazy racing, and I'm pretty sure that one will as well. So plenty of opportunities for Chris and Colin to sneak some points in there as we wait for the team standings to pop up on our screen. But nevertheless, a very interesting day, and this is how it affects the team standings, Josh.
Yeah, so ART obviously commanding lead at the front, 109 points currently. Beechwood and Northern Lights separated by just a point now, so really showing how those lower positions can come into play. JR Day 1 and Nissan, obviously they're also a little bit closer in terms of points as well, so plenty of battles going up and down the field. Team Disconnect sit on 68, tied with CGM Motorsports. Then we've got Mac Motorsport and West JSR also tied on 66 points, with Simstaff just behind, trailing by 4, and Nemesis Racing Team just a little bit further back at P11 with 33 points. And obviously, Toby, we saw a lot of teams committing to driver lineups for next season already. So now that the pressure's off on the paper side, surely this means that the battle is properly on for the team standings. You can get that visor down and not have to worry about if you're going to lose your seat.
It's an incredibly tight team standings for everyone, not just the people involved in the championship fight at the top, but every single point counts. And on a crazy weekend like this, and a crazy weekend that we have coming up next time in Charlotte Roval, it's all going to come to a head by the time we reach Sao Paulo. So all of these drivers will be getting their head down, not just for the drivers, but for what they can do for their teams as well, especially those who are still aiming to secure seats for next time out. We're getting to the business end now. This was the streets of Toronto, and it was really a unique challenge for these drivers, and Kristian Vrazhilov is the man who does what he needs to do to go into the final 2 rounds with a significant advantage. Thank you so much for watching, and until that next time at Charlotte Roval, we will see you then. Thank you, Josh, who will join me once again when we do go to Charlotte, and until then, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.